This is the revised BMW 7 Series, and a little bit like Brexit, that huge grille on the front is dividing opinion. Now personally I like it, though that has nothing to do with my political leanings, in case you're wondering. And in case you're wondering how much bigger BMW's grilles can get, well, I've actually been given a sneak preview of the new grille on the all-new 7 Series due out in 3 years' time. So this is what it's going to look like. There we go. That is just one of the kidneys as well. It's going to be fantastic, isn't it? Look at that. Okay, let's start this review by talking about the new 7 Series design. So it's slightly revised here at the back. You've got this light bar, which does look kind of cool. There are sort of fakeish exhaust pipes. It's the surround that's fake. It's absolutely massive, but in there, look, yeah, there's a real pipe, so that's fine, I guess. Now down the side, this is the long wheelbase version, so it's very, 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 very long. They have updated this. It used to look like a hockey stick, this thing, because they had more angle on that bit there, but they've made it vertical because they got fed up of people taking the mickey out of it. Now at the front, redesigned bumpers. It looks really cool, this kind of swishy effect. This one's got lots of chrome on it as well, and of course the big old grille. And the actual bonnet is now higher than before. If you're wondering why they've done this grille, it's because the Chinese like big, bold grilles, and every car manufacturer wants to be selling lots of vehicles in China because that is where the money is. The interior of this revised 7 Series is pretty much the same as before, but that's not too bad. It's not the most exciting looking design compared to an S-Class, but it is super, super high quality. I think it's better quality than the Mercedes actually. Everything you touch is absolutely blooming lovely. You can't find any cheap bits of plastic, not anywhere. No. Great. I also like the controls for the heater. They're touch sensitive, and these ones here where you just slide them to alter the temperature as well. Really, really lovely. Now I especially like this wood effect trim here. Don't normally like wood in cars, but this is good. It is a £500 option, but it does include some extra shiny bits about the place. Also, this car has a lovely Alcantara headlining, which is about £1,000. It's quite a lot. Thankfully, you do get BMW's new comfort seats as standard. So these are the ones that you get in the X7, and now they're here in the 7 Series. Also, another new thing in this car is the infotainment system. You get BMW's latest version of iDrive, and that brings me onto this car's spec. So let's enter geek mode. Geek mode. All 7 Series get a widescreen infotainment system with a digital driver's display, and of course there's built-in satellite navigation. There's also comfort access, so the car automatically locks when you get close to it, and the soft close for the doors, so they close the last part themselves, so you don't have to push. Et voila. There's 4-zone climate control too. You also get adaptive LED headlights, which prevent you dazzling other drivers. And then there's this huge interior Art Deco light for 7 different colours of ambient lighting. M Sport models get 19-inch alloy wheels, though the 50i gets 20 inches. It also gets run flat tyres as standard, which I'm not a big fan of, and an M Sport sporty steering wheel. Obviously, being a BMW, there are plenty of options available. For instance, for £2,500, you can get the premium package. Now that includes massage function and ventilation for the front seats, perfume for the car's climate control, so it smells nice inside, and laminated side windows to keep it nice and quiet in here. Meanwhile, the technology pack includes a large heads-up display and an auto steer function for the automatic cruise control. So not only will it brake to keep you a safe distance from the car in front and work in stop-start traffic, it will steer to keep you in lane so you can relax more on longer journeys. And that pack will set you back £3,500. Right, that's enough of that, otherwise it's going to be information overload, isn't it? Anyway, we need to continue this review by talking about this car's infotainment system. It's the very latest version of iDrive, which I do like very, very much. So you can control it the old-fashioned way using the swivel wheel, the touchpad, the shortcut buttons there, or you can use it as a normal touchscreen like that, which is good. Then there's the gesture controls, which I actually really like. I thought they were a gimmick at first, but I do use them quite a bit. So do things like that too. Change the volume, and you can skip tracks doing things like that, and you can dismiss phone calls by going bugger off like that. It's kind of cool when you do it. But then there's a new voice command, so to engage it you go, hey BMW,
hello, what can I help you with?
Take me to W1T 4JD.
I didn't understand that.
I just accepted it. That was really funny. So my phone piped up as well then for some reason. Anyway, So that's really cool. So you can actually input postcodes just by speaking to the car, which just saves time, and you can do some other things as well, such as alter the temperature. It's a pretty decent system, though still it's not as good as like Google Assistant, which just chimes in randomly. So the infotainment system itself is pretty slick. The menus are clearly laid out, and you can customize the home screen as well for the different widgets that you want to see on there. The navigation is quite easy to use, and the mapping is nice and bright, and there's not too much lag on the screen really. Still not as fast as the very latest smartphones. One thing that does bother me about it is that sometimes you know a route better than the car, and it constantly tries to take you back on the route it wants you to go on. And after about 5 minutes of battling with it, it goes, oh yeah, actually you are right, it's going to be quicker going your way, and it's just makes one punch it a little bit. And then there's a digital driver's display. Now I do prefer it than the old analog dials because it can show different things such as the satellite navigation directions between the rev counter and the speedo. It's just a little bit dark. Also, the information it can show isn't as detailed or as customizable as you can get on Audi's A8. Now, in terms of practicality, I can't fault this car though. Driving position's lovely. You get an electrically operated steering column, and the seats, lots of adjustment in them as well. The roof's high enough here in the front. In terms of other areas of practicality, you've got some storage under here. What's this? Look. Why did someone lift that in this car? It's what a load of junk. There's a USB-C input there, which is a bit annoying because most people have the normal USB attachment and then the C to go into their phone, so you have to have the C to C. Anyway, enough of that. There's also decent sized door bins. I like this. This feels nice and expensive, the way you open that up there, and you've got cup holders, and they're not so deep that you get into a problem with the smaller ones where it starts like lifting the lid off the coffee cup. And this car has wireless charging for your mobile phone, which I absolutely love, though there is a normal USB connection there as well if you don't have it. Other areas of storage, so there's room for a small bottle. Sorry. And then there's a decent sized glove box. It's fairly practical here in the front. Here in the back of the 7 Series, as you can see, there is plenty of room, especially in this long wheelbase version. Acres of knee room, you can really stretch out, and headroom's pretty decent as well. Now, what's not so great though is when it comes to carrying 3 in the back at once, because this middle seat is really quite a perch, and the body doesn't seem as wide as a Mercedes S-Class. That car is actually slightly better for carrying 3 in the back at once, but really I am splitting hairs, and there's a decent amount of practicality as well. So you've got decent sized door bins. There's USB inputs there, 12 volt socket. See, even look, this one's got a CD player here and some HDMI input and some more USB-C inputs there. So once again, they're all USB-C, so you're gonna have to buy some new cables. It even has a rear ashtray, which kind of sums up the type of people who will be sat back here. Think over 60, rich, cigar smoking. That's smoking a cigar, by the way. Didn't mean anything else by it. Right, now they will be especially comfy if they upgrade to the rear comfort seat package, which is £6,000. And what that includes are huge TV screens for both rear passengers, and you can control the iDrive system through this if you want to, so it's just the same as the system in the front. And then there's this, you can pull this down, you get some storage under there, and there's also some cup holders down here. That's not the interesting bit though. The interesting bit is that you have reclining, massage, heated and cooled rear seats, which is lovely. The rear comfort seats also include these lovely pillows for your headrests. Oh, they're super comfy. And then there's this little tablet here. Now you can control various functions with this tablet. For instance, I can operate the navigation system. I can move the touchscreen on this to move the map around, which seems absolutely pointless when I can just reach and do it myself. Why don't they just give you full iDrive? They don't though. Still, you can do things like control the massage seats. So I'm going to go for a massage and have the upper body exercise. As with all car seat massages, it's a bit lame. And I can also control the sun protection here as well. So yeah, let's put all the blinds up. There we go, just shut them up, then no one can see in. And I can just sit back and relax. Although I'm going to be slightly bothered by this fat look. You can get through loading, which is handy. You might want it if you want to carry skis or something like that in your car. But for some reason, that is a £100 option. I mean, come on, BMW. This particular car, actually, if I look here, oh, a really good opportunity for me to show you the airplane style seat back folders. So this particular car is £90,000. You'd have thought they'd have chucked in through loading for free. It's not even worth printing out the invoice for an extra £100, is it? What about if you need to fit a child seat in this car in the rare occasion that they're going to be the back seat passenger? Well, you've got loads of space back here, which is great, so it's easy to get the seat in. The issue is the ISOFIX covers, so they're zipped, so it's a bit of a faff to operate these zips. They're hard to pull down to then get to the ISOFIX anchor points. You then end up bodging the seat into the actual leather and it can damage it. But once you've got the seats in, you can fit them in no problem at all without having to move the front seats forward. You can fit 2 child seats in the back and just about squeeze an adult between them for shorter journeys if you absolutely have to. I forgot to show you this actually. Huge rear vanity mirrors so the fat cats can admire themselves, and I particularly like the damping effect. It's weirdly satisfying. Finally, we come to the 7 Series boot. You get an electric tailgate as standard, which you should do on a car at this price. Being a saloon, it's not as practical as an estate car, of course, but this has a fairly big boot. It's ever so slightly bigger than a Mercedes S-Classes and an Audi A8 by about 5 litres. Wow. Thing is though, the 7 Series does have the widest opening of the 3, so it's a bit easier to load items in and out, and the load lip isn't too big, and it's metallic to help protect your paintwork. There's not too many features in here, so just a couple of tethering hooks, another one down in here. There's a little storage area for the car's manual there. You don't really need that because all the information is on the infotainment system anyway. There is no underfloor storage though, which is a bit of an arse, but you're probably wondering how much stuff you can fit in this car's boot. Well, there's room for 2 large suitcases, 2 small suitcases, and 2 or 3 soft bags. You'll be able to fit a set of golf clubs in there, no problem at all. In fact, you'll be able to fit about 4 sets in there. You can also fit a pushchair in there, and there is room for a bike, but you will have to remove both wheels. Reason being, you can't fold down the rear seats in this car at all, which is a bit annoying, and that brings me on to 5 other annoying things about the BMW 7 Series. You can unlock the car if you've got an Android phone, but it doesn't work with an Apple phone. Yet while you get Apple CarPlay for the car's infotainment system, it doesn't have Android Auto. So BMW sort of want you to have 2 phones. When you fold down the central armrest, it actually pushes against the central seatbelt buckle and leaves an indentation in your soft merino leather. That would really do my head in. You have to be careful how you hold the door handles because their design means that sometimes they can pinch your finger, look. Ah, you f***ing bastard! This Slightly Naff badge here is there to say that this car has a carbon core to help keep the weight down, though it still weighs around 2 tons. In fact, I think the only real bit of carbon in the core is this silly badge. The rear infotainment screens look like removable tablets, so an opportunist thief is going to come along, smash your window, rip it off the back of your chair, and then the whole thing's broken. They lose, you lose, everyone loses. It's just a losing situation. Thankfully, this car has plenty of cool features to help make up for all this. Here's 5. Using this special key, you can control the car by remote control, so you can actually make it reverse into a tight parking space, all very simple, and it'll just roll backwards like that. Brilliant. Or you can make it come out of a tight parking space by doing the opposite thing and making it go forward. Let's say you're driving through an underground car park. It's really tight and you're navigating the pillars, as illustrated there by that tall gentleman. Yeah, that's gonna be a nightmare to get out of, isn't it? Well, don't worry, because the car actually remembers your last 50 metres of steering input. So when you put the car into reverse and then press the reversing assistant button, it plays your steering in reverse. Look, am I gonna drive over that man? No, the car will automatically steer me round, so he doesn't need to worry. Ah, brilliant. By pressing this button here, you can raise the car up on its standard air suspension, so you've got more ground clearance, which is great for driving over curbs or plebs. You can get the car with laser lights. They have a beam of up to 600 metres and can take out a Death Star. Wow. The 360-degree camera mode actually has a graphic of the car. It's a bit like a computer game, and you can just look all the way around the car. It's quite incredible, and if you want, you can control it with gesture controls as well. Look, swivel, 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 swivel. The BMW 7 Series is available with quite a wide choice of engines, so bear with me while I explain them to you. So there's the petrols. The 740i has a 3-litre straight-six turbocharged engine with 340 horsepower. Then there's the 745e, which is a hybrid, and it has a 2-litre turbocharged petrol engine with 2 electric motors and 286 horsepower. And then there's the 750i, which has a 4.4-litre V8 with 530 horsepower. Then the 760li, which has a 5-litre V12 with 585 horsepower. Moving on to the diesels, there's this 730D, which has a 3-litre straight-six diesel with 265 horsepower. Then the 740D, which has a similar engine, but with some more turbochargers thrown in for good measure, and 320 horsepower. Now, all models are available with xDrive all-wheel drive, apart from the 740i, which is rear drive only. But all cars do get an 8-speed automatic gearbox as standard. So, this particular car is a 730D long wheelbase. This 7 Series is super comfy to drive in town. So you get adaptive air suspension as standard, and not only do you have a comfort mode, you have a comfort plus mode where everything gets even more relaxed. It soaks up bumps brilliantly. Maybe the air suspension in an Audi A8 is even better, but I'm splitting hairs. Now this car has a turning circle rather similar to an Audi A8, so it's rather similar yet again to an oil tanker. This thing's over 5 metres long, so it's not going to be the most manoeuvrable. However, you can fit it with rear wheel steering, which does actually reduce the turning circle by a metre, which is well worth it, and then it makes it far more manageable in town or tight underground car parks. Still, the steering is nice and light, so that's never a problem, and the gearbox is nice and smooth as well. What's it like to park though? Well, there's a space there. I'm going to see if I can fit in it, but I'm going to have to go all the way up here to turn round because I can't do it in this space. So just bear with me, caller. Okay, here comes the parking space, but I don't want to struggle. I'm going to use the car's tech, so I'm going to use the park assistant. So it's surveying, looking for a space. Is he going to find one? Yeah, it's found one. So I'll just press that button there, and the car should just do everything. I'll just lift off the accelerator and the brakes and the steering, and it just does its thing. You can monitor on the screen. It's a bit of a tight angle. Oh, wait, it's perpendicular parking because this car is just too long even for that gap. I reckon if I'd had the normal wheelbase version of the 7 Series, I'd have probably got in there, but no chance with this. Yeah, if you have the long wheelbase version, you are just going to be looking for a parking space for quite a long time. Also, if you are parking yourself, it's quite annoying that you can't see out the back window when it's raining because there's no window wiper. Also, there's a few blind spots such as the side pillars. That was a bit of a pointless exercise. Let's carry on with the rest of the review. There is one advantage to the rear drive version, and that's when you turn the stability control off, you can behave like a bit of an imbecile. Yeah, I'm sure your VIP is going to love this. Anyway, let's stop that, it's silly. Where this luxury barge is most at home is on the motorway. I mean, it's really relaxing for long distance work. Seats are very comfortable. It's super quiet in here, partly because BMW has fitted even more soundproofing to the previous generation of this car. It feels super stable at speed as well, and you can even get it fitted with a special system which uses a camera to read the road ahead, and it will slacken off the suspension if it sees a bump coming, which is great. Then there's the engine. You do not need any more than the 30D diesel in this car. It's absolutely fine. So doing 50, put my foot down, gearbox response instantly, and that's in comfort mode, and there's 70. No fuss whatsoever. Engine and gearbox working together in perfect harmony. As for the economy, well, this thing's doing 38 miles per gallon almost. Can't really complain about that for such a big car. Finally then, here's a twisty road. So let's see if the 7 Series is, as BMW claims, still the ultimate driving machine. Now I'm going to put it into sports mode, put the gearbox into manual, and try to have some fun. So, no, it's big everything, and the steering's kind of, the car's not doing anything. Do you know what? I've never bothered changing gears myself on this car, but pointless. Best to just waft around. And you know what, on a day like today when it's wet, I suggest getting the xDrive version because you've got more grip. It just makes the car feel a touch more secure. So then, what's my final verdict on the BMW 7 Series? Oh, yeah, thank God for soft close. Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should shortlist the new BMW 7 Series. Yeah, it's a really lovely luxury car, so long as you can get on with its big old nostrils.